What's goody good, YouTube? This is Dez from Team DOA 973 coming at you with our third consecutive video. This is going to be segment 3 of Step Your Game Up. This edition we're going to be talking about how to make the ban list work for you. Just a couple of suggestions. These are not guaranteed things, but they're definitely things that you should be cognizant of and keep aware if you're going to be doing a lot in regionals, if you plan to go to championships or even just locals. You have to be ready for these cards. This ban list, they brought back Monster Reborn and Darkhold. Like, nobody's seen Darkhold coming. You couldn't predict that. But now that it's here, you have to definitely run cards that are going to counteract it. Because 80% of decks now are definitely going to run Darkhold as a main card. I wouldn't want to run it as main because you know that your opponent is probably going to be expecting it. They're going to be running cards like Starlight Rule. Starlight Rule is at 3, so nobody's going to run it at 3, but they're still going to have it in the deck at 1 or 2 because Darkhold is big, and you also still have Judgment Dragon and Black Rules, etc., etc. My Body as a Shield and Dark Bribe. Like, if you're going against a person that uses Darkhold, they're probably setting up for a big play right now, or they're using it out of desperation. This is definitely a win condition for decks that swarm out and decks that have especially some of the big beaters, like really fast. So you definitely want to try to stop this card and switch it to your advantage. For instance, I say definitely run Starlight Road as a staple and My Body as a Shield as a staple. This turns the card in your favor. Everybody knows what it does. It is a pretty broken card. They go Darkhold, you negate it, and you bring out Stardust Dragon. I think that's enough to do in your favor. And also, Monster Reborn is also a very big win condition. You definitely should negate this. If your opponent is going to use it, if you can negate it, you should definitely negate it. Because, again, they're probably setting up for a big play. This is probably going to be part of their win condition most of the time. So I suggest running in your side deck, not as main, Big Burn, Magic Drain, or any card that negates Magic card. This just so happened to be the first Magic card negator that I ran across. But I would suggest Dark Bribe or Curse of Forbidding Seal, anything that negates Magic cards, because you definitely have to stop Monster Reborn if possible. Big Burn is really good, especially if you run different dimensional capsule, or if you run a macro deck. Big Burn is great because when they target a monster in the graveyard, you remove from play all monsters in both players' graveyard. When I ran my macro deck at locals with this, and they call it a Hunter that activated this, I had Soul Absorption active. You know what Soul Absorption does? You get 500 life points for each card that is removed from play. So I gained like 10,000 life points. It was really amazing. It came mid-game, so it's really good. It's pretty broken, and especially if you have a way to get monsters back from the removed from play pile. And here's some cards that I think are very good, that's going to be great this format. First off, Enemy Controller. If you were running this at 1, you should definitely side deck at least 2, simply because Brain Control is gone. And this can interfere with big plays on your opponent's behalf. You can take that monster, you can switch it to defense mode, etc., etc. So it's pretty much the best replacement for Brain Control. Because Mind Control, you only take the monster, you can't really do anything with it unless you sink forward or sack it or whatever. And also, I have Divine Wrath. The reason I say Divine Wrath should definitely be side decked or even main is because everybody's going to be relying on effects more, because they're not going to rely on traps too heavy, because you still have Jinzo at 3, you have Trap Stun at 3, you have Rory Decree at 3, so people want to have these cards to stop anybody that's that relies on traps a lot. So this you should have for monster effects. Black Rose is at 3, so they're going to want to Black Rose to blow up the field. You want to stop that. You want to also stop things like Judgment Dragon or anybody. Not saying that Life Swords are dead or alive, but you definitely want to stop effects. Effects are going to be big, especially when going for back row. Equip cards. Equip cards are definitely in this format, because the reason I say that is they only have Dust Tornado and Mysticals, and 2 Mysticals at that. So you want to play cards that they are going to target for. That's why I say equip cards are in and fill cards are in. Like if you have a fill card and like a back row of 5 cards or even 2 cards, they're going to always target with their mystical or their dust layer. They're going to target your fill card just about every time. And you don't want them to target your cards like your big play cards, like threatening, well not big play, but just like cards that you need. Like you don't want them to target your Starlight Road. You don't want them to target your Threatening Roars or your Revokuls or your D Prisons, things like that. Are you prefer to deter the target to an equip card or a fill card? Because they're always going to go for those first before they target anything else. Effect Veil, like I said, effects are going to be like very big this format. So Effect Veil is like amazing this format. You can just stop anything. Like it just like I went against a guy and who had heroes, and I used Prohibition twice. I Prohibitioned his Miracle Fusion and Polymerization when he can't use them. So he gets a field of heroes out, he summons Stratos, and he tries to pop the card so he can go poly. And I know he had a good hand because he couldn't poly since the duel started. I dropped Effect Veil and negated the effect, and it just like destroyed his plays. Of course I picked up that match. So yeah, keep in mind Effect Veil is like amazing right now this format. Also, Solemn Warning is really good this format because Oppression is now at 1. So you want to use Solemn Warning if you have one. If you can get one, I say get it. It's very worth it. It negates the summoning of a monster by paying 2,000 life points. And it also negates the activation of a monster, magic, or trap card that special summons a monster and destroys it. So this in my opinion, is just small tips on how to make the ban list work for you. Rate, comment, subscribe. Everybody who knows anything about dueling, if you have any more suggestions, please put them in the comment box so people can know and so we can make this format as fun as possible. I'm trying to make dueling fun, one video at a time, one game at a time, so I can use every duelist's help. So, yeah, this is a call to all duelists to step our game up and help each other out. Des, Team DOA 973, out, rate, comment, subscribe, peace, love, and great dueling.